So, we meet again. I want to talk about Starboy. I want to talk about him as an artist, his creative pursuits, his history and how he came to be as popular as he is. Now, I know it might be considered a bit silly, but out of respect for him and for you, I may as well do some homework before I speak about his art. If you already know about his past, I've left timestamps for you to skip ahead to my opinions on his music. But for now, let's take a look at a CEO's journey and figure out how exactly we came to be graced with these incredible sounds. Born on February the 22nd, 1999 to a Dutch mother and a Spanish father, Anton Martin Mendo, otherwise known as Starboy, is a Dutch producer, loop maker, creative director, singer and songwriter from Amsterdam, North Holland, the motherland. He is a member, co-founder and curator of the collectives Adrenaline and the now defunct Hyperpop JP, along with his countryman, the absolute Giga Chad out of town. I mean, look at him, bro. Look at this Dutch boy right here, man. He's chiseled out of marble. No homo. Anyways, if you know anything about the modern hip-hop scene, you know that he was at the tip of the spear for popularizing a new sound and an overall wave of rap. He's even been credited as Opium's greatest producer and basically crafted Carti and Ken's sound, forming an entire subgenre of rap. But he's also got producer credits on Bop by DaBaby, Futsal Shuffle by Uzi, and more recently on Yeat's TikTok Sigma Male Edit album 2093, across multiple tracks, and that, in my opinion, is Yeat's best album. In the year of our Lord 2018, he travelled to the home of animated underage girls and used panty vending machines, where he linked up with Verdi and Gabe and began to work alongside some Japanese artists. Star started gaining traction and working alongside bigger artists in 2018, like the Duke of Harajuku, who credited him as being a musical genius, in terms of beat production at least. The album that he produced for the Duke was one of the first examples of his hyperpop-infused sound. This, alongside other placements, resulted in him getting placements with more mainstream international artists like Nav and Lil Keed the following year. Now, me personally, my first exposure to Star's production was on the track No Sleep by Gabe featuring Skepta. At the time, I had it on loop, and upon re-listening to it, I have to admit, it still hits, or at least the production does. He then produced Bop alongside Jetson Maid and Raw Shit alongside Taj Money off of DaBaby's album Kirk. After landing a trippy placement that no one cares about, he made inroads with Lil Uzi and co-produced Futsal Shuffle. Also, before the trippy stands come from my head, I mean, who cares about Mr. Red at this point, man? Like, giving a fuck about Trippy after the KSI collab takes monumental levels of dick riding capability. Even that Chief Keef inspired album that sounded like a wet diuretic fart should have cued you in on the fact that Trip didn't just like fall off, he fell out and he fell away. Anyways, this is around the time that Star formed the Hyperpop JP collective with Out of Town, Loso, Gabe and Art Dealer. I think it's telling of the kind of artist Star is, considering that he was now producing for the whales of the industry with songs that are getting tens of millions of plays in weeks of the release date. But he would still basically go ahead and work with and produce songs for an artist like Ken Carson, who was underground at the time alongside his friend Out of Town. You could probably argue that that was because he wanted to perfect his sound and he needed someone more willing to accept and adopt his more experimental beats, but even then, I personally count it as a merit to not fully dilute your art in order to achieve mass appeal and catering to an audience that's accustomed to a particular set of sounds from a particular artist. Now, in 2020, alongside Out of Town and Art Dealer, he produced 4 songs off of Playboy Cardi's Whole Lotta Red, that being Meh, King Vamp, Control, and Die For Guy. Now, this is where I began to get fully enmeshed in the hyperpop sound, and not just with Cardi, but through other artists as well. I went as far as to create a playlist on Spotify, but let's be honest, a lot of those tracks and artists are pretty gay, and listening to it in the current year is closer to listening to an industrial bandsaw going off right beside your head than listening to any kind of, coherent, cohesive music. After making some more tracks for Ken on Teen X Relapsed and on Project X in 2021, Star started making his own tracks. Now, other people that have made videos on Mr. Mendo also mention this particular song, but I don't give a fuck. It goes unspeakably hard for a first release. Just think about it, 3 years later, and King of New York is still an amazing song that I play often. That's a rarity. I mean, the majority of artists actually try to bury their old releases because they're pretty garbage. But I think that's enough of a history lesson now. We all have a relatively good understanding of how this Dutchman ascended the industry ladder. I'm more concerned with the content of his solo work because he goes on to produce other tracks and still does, but as a standalone artist, his talent is not only intact, but it's amplified. So if we look at the first song that really truly hooked me, at the time I was just browsing YouTube, probably either listening to a Drain Gang song or a Two Hollows track, and then this appears in my feed. And let me not lie, that shit had me in a chokehold. Between the low definition VHS visuals and the fact that he stole my whole look for the video, and lastly, the fact that I'm also a player that feels heartbreak too, I was completely ensnared. The Dutchman had me flying for real. Now as for the song itself, I'ma be Anthony Fantano for a second. The synths are something that White Armor himself would have a crisis over, like he would soak his panties. The drop is vicious, and Star's dejected vocals really reinforce that feeling of not having shit to smile about. Even the repeated pain is just, it's in the bridge and it's in the outro, but it really emphasizes the heartbreak. It's a very repetitive song, and a lot of his other songs are repetitive as well, but it works for what it is. Also, look at this damn cover, man. Just look at this. The Beepster and the kid whose friend fucked his father's wife in the craziest fits of all time. I mean, Star's gotta be chronically online, bro. There's no way he's not. Look at this. There's no way he's not, bro. He's 100% chronically online. And yeah, that was honestly the beginning of the end for me. The past 2 years I've just been listening to Scandinavian white boy music on loop, and it's so good. I don't care. It's so good. I checked out the project Heartbreak was on, and my oh my, the news kept getting better. The first 2 tracks are very repetitive, just like Heartbreak, but then XTC comes on, and whoo, boy, he has some R&B in him, he was fully serenading me over this future funk glamour, The Weeknd kind of beat, and it worked, man. It fully worked. I am a certified Mendo dick rider. The Inside You beat goes so crazy. The Ziz sample is so apt, and there's more samples that hit just as hard, like on Romero, but that's for later. Anyways, we need to enjoy this obscurity while it lasts, in my opinion. It's obvious that with a sound and talent like this, that Star's gonna blow up and be huge if he keeps it up, and yet again, it's better to just gatekeep, It is better to gatekeep things before we have these TikTok kids just infiltrate the fandom and ruin all of the music, man. That's we're at a very real risk of that happening. On that song, we have some longing, aching, raw vocals over an insane beat that feels like the ultimate Beat Saber level. And this time the vocals are varied and they bear some content. He also has this habit of incorporating other producers' tags into his songs, which I think is pretty funny. Like in Heaven with a 3, you just hear in the middle of the song, and it blends in so well with the overall sound. It's hilarious. One More Time is easily the weakest track on the project. There's nothing interesting going on. It just kind of feels like an early Blade throwaway. And In My Heart is a solid track. It's just more of the same, some of the sad boy, aching, lovesick lyricism and vocals. Now, that album gave me a lot to chew on and blast while I do the legal limit 100% sober on the bone dry freeway at 2 a.m. with the windows down, but I wasn't satisfied. And Star must have heard my cries for more, because later that year I heard the Miami tape. Now, I'm not sure if it leaked or if it was released officially, because it doesn't sound all that polished and mixed, but oh my goodness, bro. It just brightened up my entire December. I mean, after this video, please do yourself a favor, go listen to the Miami Freestyle song on the Starboy archive page on Spotify. That was the sound of my 2023 alongside CEO Lifestyle and King of the Darkness by Two Hollows, man. And let me tell you, verily I say unto you, shit was sweet. Shit was so sweet. CEO Lifestyle and Star Anthem are the only other notable tracks on there, but they don't seize the means of production and revolutionize the sound really. It's just more of the same formula, and I'm not complaining per se, it's just, you know, it doesn't warrant a lengthy unpacking. And with that, the hellish slow motion car crash that was or is 2024 started off with a bang, because in March we got CEO and I'm still damaging my eardrums bumping this album 8 months later. I kid you not, man, this shit sounds like a best of Ye compilation. Like legit, we have Yeezus, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, The Life of Pablo, Vultures, 808s, Graduation, College Dropout, and KSG. All in one album, dude. They all have DNA in that album. It's crazy. Legitimately though, like screenshot this, look at this, screenshot this and listen to CEO after the video and tell me I'm wrong, dude. I dare you. I dare you to defy me, dude. Because I know you can't. You peasant. I know you can't. Because I'm right. Honestly, the album is so good. It's so good. It's like, it's a light 8, okay? If Fantano was creaming himself listening to the production on 2093, he may just die listening to CEO. Let's all just bookmark this moment in history and watch him take off. And again, enjoy those unofficial releases and all of those older tracks before TikTok kids just destroy everything. Off of CEO though, the most impressive tracks in my opinion are Throw Up, Superhuman, She Ain't Scared, and Heaven's Tear. 3 of which have music videos and all of which look and sound fantastic. Throw Up is dense, emotional, and his vocals are almost reminiscent of like 2016 era emo rap. The production is incredibly dense, layered with distortion, and he's just weaving in and out of this beat in this like crazy cacophony. Superhuman is very high energy. He's like stars singing in a higher voice. It really feels like something you'd hear in a street racing game. It gets you going like an EDM club banger, you know. How do you even know what that means? And She Ain't Scared is definitely my favorite song and music video off of the album. It might even be my favorite Starboy song. And he flexes some more vocals, you know, gets those pipes going. The production is heavenly, you know, and he incorporates that Dorian concept sample so beautifully. And yet again, this man is just burdened with the attention of some woman that's, you know, at first she looks like good news, but she might ruin his life. Been there, done that. But anyways, regardless of his romantic status, I'm sure we're going to be getting good songs well into the future. And Heaven's Tear is just a song for, you know, tearing through the suburbs in the rain with the windows down. This belongs in Aeon Flux, man. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers that movie, but this song sounds like watching Akira for the first time. Or Akira, if you're gay. But Ye would be very, very proud, man. You know, Star killed that song. He killed that track. Now, in my highest fantasy, I love to see Starboy and 2 Hollows collaborate on a project, but unfortunately because of some like foolishness and constant comparisons, the 2 most promising white boy prospects are at odds with one another. And hopefully we get some hot music out of the feud, but I don't know. I would prefer to just see them work together on something. Star set to drop sometime in the near future, probably early next year, the way things are looking, and you know, there are some snippets floating around, and all I can say is that things are looking quite promising. Considering that we already have a video for Speakerfucker on his channel, and you know, I promise you, based off of that video, my body is ready, but my car is not, bro. That's the CEO's journey and my fanboying over him done with. I want to make a video on Hollis probably in the future, maybe Nokia Angel and Prada's life, probably Edward Skeletrix as well, like his music too. The 3, you know, Hollis, Angel, and Prada, they populate the same scene and subgenre, so if you enjoy Star's music, you might like theirs as well. Hopefully it's not too jarring, me going from discussing geopolitics and espionage and government conspiracies straight into my terrible taste in music. More of that is coming up. Maybe I'll create a second channel, who knows. Until then, stay tuned and die well.